June 14, 2025. The digital clock above the bridge reads 09:23. Outwardly, it's a perfect morning at sea. The South China Sea glimmers beneath pastel hues, merchant ships trace their invisible paths, and the faintest breeze teases the stars and stripes from the Princeton's mast. The USS Princeton, a Ticonderoga-class guided missile cruiser, glides silently as part of a textbook U.S. Navy carrier strike group patrol. But behind this illusion of calm, tension coils like a spring. Below deck, life on the Princeton is a mix of ritual and readiness. Sailors finish breakfast and swap stories, powdered eggs, bad coffee, the last funny video from home. But every movement has purpose. Every glance carries questions unspoken. On the weather deck, boatswain's mate Ramirez leans on the rail, coffee steaming in the warm air, scanning the horizon for anything unusual. He murmurs, "Another beautiful morning in paradise," with a hint of irony only a sailor can understand. Farther aft, the sound of hydraulic wrenches and the distant clatter of tools blend with the crash of waves. The engineering spaces are hot and noisy. Here, Chief Machinist's mate Brooks inspects a rattling pipe, sweat beading on his brow. Every bolt matters. A single failure could turn routine into crisis. In the Combat Information Center, CIC, the atmosphere is different. Hushed, focused, lit only by the glow of screens and the low hum of machines. Chief Petty Officer Stevens monitors the powerful Spy 1 radar. Data scrolls by, punctuated by merchant vessel pings and the distant shadow of something more. A faint, unfamiliar contact 200 kilometers distant. Stevens frowns and calls over Lieutenant Hanley. Contact, bearing 095. Not commercial, not friendly. Could be a planned destroyer. Hanley logs it. Routine, but everyone feels the tension tick up a notch. Routines, rituals, and realities. Life at sea. The Princeton's crew is well-drilled, efficient. In the wardroom, junior officers debate sports scores and news from home, but there's an edge. If things go sideways, we're the tip of the spear, says LTJG Thompson, sipping his third coffee. Beats bar duty in Norfolk, jokes Chief Morales. The laughter is tight, a little forced. Petty Officer Kim double-checks diagnostics on the Aegis system, always ready, always expecting the unknown. Below decks, engineers run stress tests on propulsion and electrical systems, ensuring every component responds instantly when needed. The Princeton's heart beats strong. Every sailor knows their role, and readiness is second nature. On the carrier Nimitz, Commander Rachel Evans, the air boss, walks the flight deck, watching as deck crews prep Super Hornets and Growlers. Each sailor is a cog in a vast, intricate machine. Below decks, ordnance teams quietly swap training rounds for live warheads. Maintenance crews run last-minute checks on everything from catapults to coffee makers. A Marine detachment jogs in formation around the hangar bay, their cadence echoing through steel. The routine grounds everyone, but it's a thin shield. Rumors ripple through the crew. Chinese warships on the move, new orders from Beijing, a no-mistakes morning. The strategic chessboard. Why here? Why now? The South China Sea isn't just another patch of ocean. It's a billion-dollar lifeline, funneling over a third of the world's trade, some $5 trillion worth, every year. It's also a powder keg, competing territorial claims, deep historical wounds, and two superpowers testing each other's resolve. For China, U.S. warships so close to its self-declared nine-dash line are a challenge to sovereignty. Beijing considers these waters sacred, tied to national pride and future prosperity. For America, these waters must stay free, for allies, for trade, for the rules that govern the world. The Princeton's patrol is a message. This sea belongs to no one nation. Around the world, newsrooms and trading floors monitor every update. In Singapore and Tokyo, ship insurers nervously adjust premiums. In Washington and Beijing, high-level phones stay off the hook. Intelligence analysts in windowless rooms interpret satellite imagery, attempting to predict the next moves like chess masters contemplating a critical mid-game scenario. Military analysts debate the logic of deterrence. If no one blinks, who wins? In Manila, the Filipino Navy quietly moves patrol boats into shadowed coves, watching. In Taipei, Taiwan's defense ministry issues another dry statement, watching nervously as their future is weighed on foreign decks. The sudden threat. A game begins. At precisely 09:23, the radar blip becomes a threat. The Chinese destroyer John Chong, previously loitering at the edge of detection, suddenly accelerates. 18 to 30 knots in under 90 seconds. On the John Chong's bridge, Captain Liu Wei feels the weight of his orders. Challenge the Americans, force a response, but do not fire first. His ship's engines rumble, cutting a bold wake through the sea. Crewmen exchange uneasy glances, knowing today's actions might echo through history. Young officers crowd the CIC, eyes darting between displays. They've trained for years, but war at sea is not a video game. Each press of a button, each change of course, carries the weight of lives and nations. Back on Princeton, the alert goes up the chain. Captain Michael Hayes enters CIC, eyes scanning data and crew faces alike. How far out? 200 kilometers, closing fast. Threat assessment, moderate to high, sensors active, posture aggressive. Hayes nods steady. Alert the strike group. Stay at condition 3, but all stations manned and ready. On Nimitz, Commander Evans receives the coded alert. She looks out across her deck, knowing that in a crisis, every second counts. Across the domain, air, surface, and subsurface. At 9:35, the standoff intensifies. In the air, far above, an E-2D Hawkeye circles, feeding radar images to every U.S. ship. Operators watch as the Chinese carrier Shandong, far to the north, launches a flight of J-15 fighters. Hawkeye to Princeton, multiple launches, J-15s climbing hard, looks like a show of force. On the Princeton CIC, this prompts a knowing look. The Shandong's ski jump launch limits the J-15's fuel and weapons. On the Chinese carrier, deck crews hurry to keep up appearances, pilots sweating in heavy flight gear, knowing they may be pawns in a much bigger game. On the surface, the John Chong bears down, sensors sweeping. American and Chinese sailors alike keep their eyes locked on the sea and sky, knowing the slightest misstep could change everything. Officers on both sides call for steady hands, no sudden moves. Beneath the waves, Princeton's sonar picks up a new contact, a Type 039 diesel-electric submarine, noisy and obvious. Type 039 Captain. 80 nautical miles, not subtle. Hayes almost laughs. Let me know if she learns how to whisper. On board the Chinese sub, the captain orders a snorkel up to recharge batteries, a risky move that exposes his position. In the tight confines, tension is thick. The crew know they're outclassed, but orders are orders. Submariners know they are alone. If discovered, survival is measured in minutes, not hours. Yet the Type 039's role isn't to ships, but to remind the Americans, you are being watched from every dimension. Strength through coordination. At 0940, Princeton's Cooperative Engagement Capability C shares every threat update with the group. On the Nimitz, Air Boss Evans steps up preparations. Top hatters man the ready fives, growlers to the deck, full jamming packages. Every ship subtly shifts into a more defensive formation. Flight deck crews ready FA-18s for launch, quietly replacing practice rounds with live ordnance. In the engineering spaces, damage control teams check fire suppression and watertight doors. On nearby escorts, missile tubes are quietly spun up. The Ticonderoga-class cruisers' 122 vertical launch cells bristle with standard missiles, tomahawks, and anti-submarine rockets. All locked down, but ready to launch at a moment's notice. American restraint isn't weakness, it's discipline. The Princeton, the Nimitz, and their escorts hold position, daring the Chinese to escalate. Electronic warfare, the invisible battle 945. High above, EA-18G Growlers arc into their jamming orbits. Their AL-299 pods come alive, flooding the electromagnetic spectrum with noise. On Chinese radar screens, chaos erupts. Contacts multiply and vanish, targeting locks are broken, communications stutter and fragment. On the John Chong, the radar chief reports to Captain Liu. Sir, our screens are full of ghosts. We cannot confirm targets. On the American side, the electronic warfare officer grins. They're blind, Captain, and we're just getting started. No missiles fly, but the digital battlefield is aflame. In Beijing, analysts scramble to understand what's happening. In Washington, military chat rooms buzz with excitement. This is the power of networked warfare. The merchant marine factor. The world watches. Through it all, civilian ships keep moving. 46 commercial vessels, tankers, freighters, a Singaporean container ship, a South Korean LNG tanker. Count on the US Navy's shield. Their captains quietly pray for wisdom in the warships nearby. On one container ship, Captain Lim tunes into maritime radio chatter. Whatever happens, he tells his first mate, history is being written outside those windows. News coverage spikes. Satellite imagery circulates on social media. Amateur trackers live tweet each maneuver. The hashtag South China Showdown becomes a global trend. Families at home anxiously check the news. Some spouses and parents are veterans, remembering the stress of their own days at sea. Every message home is brief, coded in reassurance. We're fine. Love you. But the tension is universal. The battle of wills, command decisions. With the destroyer closing fast, both captains face the hardest choice of their careers. On the Princeton, Hayes stands behind his bridge team, weighing years of training and a lifetime at sea. Hold the line, maintain course and speed. He trusts his crew, the technology, the doctrine. All hands brace for possible maneuvering. Damage control stand by, flight deck prepare for launch. On John Chong, Liu feels the gravity of the moment. Report all American moves, do not fire unless fired upon. He hopes it will be enough. He knows the eyes of Beijing are on him, and the eyes of the world. Allies and adversaries alike are watching. In Moscow, Russian naval staff analyze the American formation for weaknesses. In London, NATO partners wonder if today's lessons will apply to their own navies. Demonstration of power. The US Navy responds 10 hours. Hayes gives the word. Demonstrate air power, launch is briefed. On the Nimitz, the deck erupts into synchronized motion. FA-18 Super Hornets roar into the sky, followed by EA-18G Growlers. Deck crews in yellow and green vests move like dancers through steam and thunder. Catapults hiss, and within minutes, a lethal wall of American air power forms above the sea. The Growlers maximize their jamming, and on the John Chong, the situation grows desperate. Sir, all targeting lost. Communications disrupted. We are alone out here. Meanwhile, the Princeton briefly illuminates the Chinese destroyer with fire control radar, a clear message. We see you. We can target you. Stand down. For a moment, it's as if time stops. Every ship, every aircraft, every crew member feels the gravity. One wrong move could start a war. In the CIC, junior sailors hold their breath. On the bridge, Hayes stands steady, eyes never leaving the horizon. Out of sight, in a ready room below decks, pilots sit in their cockpits waiting for a launch order that everyone hopes never comes. The breaking point. Beijing blinks. Finally, the message comes through to the John Chong. Disengage. Do not escalate. Resume patrol at a safe distance. Captain Liu feels a wave of relief. Reduce speed. New course 075. Stand down from battle stations. On the Shandong, the J-15 pilots, low on fuel, exhausted, some never having seen real combat, are ordered back to their carrier. The submarine dives for safety, breaking contact. On board the Princeton, the watch team allows themselves a quiet, respectful cheer. Captain Hayes gathers his crew. Today wasn't about shooting first, it was about showing strength, without arrogance, without panic. You showed the world what real resolve looks like. Aftermath ripples across the world. Within hours, news explodes across the globe. US Navy repels Chinese challenge in tense South China Sea showdown. Markets shudder, then stabilize. Allies express relief, rivals take note. Military analysts dissect every move, every signal, every line of radio chatter. Aboard the Princeton, sailors call home, telling loved ones they're safe. Some keep radar screenshots or log entries as souvenirs, a small piece of history, hard-earned. On John Chong, Captain Liu pens his after-action report, proud of his crew but keenly aware that for a moment, the fate of nations hung on his judgment. On YouTube, reaction videos, expert analyses, and breakdowns of electronic warfare flood the internet. Young officers, both American and Chinese, study the standoff as a new chapter in naval history. Reflection. Lessons for the next generation. In naval academies and war colleges, the encounter becomes a case study. In the halls of power, leaders debate its meaning. The lesson is clear. The modern battlefield is not always decided by missiles or guns. Sometimes the greatest victory is in holding the line, showing restraint, discipline, and unshakable resolve. As dawn breaks over the South China Sea the next day, sailors from both sides stare into the haze, knowing the balance has shifted. Not with violence, but with nerve.